you have only features, and you get to evaluate, look at the features and then try to group them into buckets. Okay, that is the purpose behind this algorithm. It's unsupervised because there is no class label. Okay, so therefore, as there is no class label, you do not know what label to associate at a later point of time. Now, this is the problem with clustering. Okay, so now let us look at the features. So we had the same set of features as we did with respect to supervised learning, where we had the features and the class label there. Supposing if it is COVID, this is the example which we were talking about. So we had fever, body pain, tastelessness, difficulty in breathing, running nose, itching, and no smell are some of the features that we basically looked at. And after looking at those features, we kind of said that with these features, in the initial stages, there would have probably been some groups which has had the class labels associated. That is, you know of patients and their features along with their corresponding RT-PCR test. Okay, those RT-PCR tests were made as positive or negative by taking a sample and then giving it to laboratory, etc. So you know the symptoms and the outcome was also known at a later point of time, not immediately. Now, what is the purpose of the model construction? The model will help you to do the same, okay, without looking at the class label. So, supposing the class labels are not there, as in the earlier cases, earlier stages of COVID, you probably had comparison. That is, patient 1 was there, patient 2 was there, patient 1 symptoms and patient 1000 symptom are basically the same. And patient 1 was tested RT-PCR positive, so patient 1000 will also be positive towards COVID rather than a neutral case or a negative case. Okay, so that is the thing which we kind of looked at. Now, this is called as unsupervised learning. It is unsupervised because there is no class label. Therefore, you are trying to do a similarity estimation and then group things which are similar to each other and then call them as a single cluster. Okay. So you can say you are trying to attach label to each observation or data points in a set. So you call this as unsupervised classification. So, okay, unsupervised, it's called as clustering. This clustering is called as unsupervised classification, but the class labels is again missing. So intuitively, if you have to assign the same label to a data point that are close to each other, then you can try to do that. So these clustering algorithms typically rely on some distance metric computation between the data points. Okay. And so hence for a clustering algorithm, the distance metric is more important than the clustering algorithm itself. So which distance metric I want to use? So can I use Euclidean distance? Can I use S Manhattan distance? Can I use a city block distance? All those things are there. So depending upon the application, you have to go in for the corresponding clustering, distance metric computation. So some distance metrics are listed here. So the first one is, it's called as identify the absolute error. So the distance between two data points xij and xi-j are the identity of xij not equal to xij dash. So you can call this as 1 or 0, or you can say that whether it is same or not same. So the next one is called a squared distance. So distance between 2 points xij and xi-j. So j is fixed. So there is going to be simply subtraction and then the square. Then there is LQ norms. Then there is Canberra distance, which is summation of all the I points on a corresponding j. And then you have correlation. So correlation is xij minus xi bar to xi dash j to xi bar divided by square root of sum of all these. So similar to x minus x bar the whole squared, x minus x bar into y minus y bar divided by square root of x minus x bar the whole squared into y minus y bar the whole squared. Now this is your correlation. So between x and y. So I am calling it as x and xi and xi dash. That is what we have here. Okay. So typically speaking, these distance metrics are used, but the most common distance metrics are Euclidean distance, which is summation xi minus yi, the whole bar, absolute value of xi minus yi, and then, sorry, this is wrong. This is actually, every time I make this mistake, but I never correct. Okay, so here Euclidean distance is square root of xi minus yi the whole square, distance between point x and y. Okay, so depending upon how many dimensions each point has got, you have to correspondingly do that summation. And then Manhattan distance is simply difference between the two. Okay, so this is also called as one norm or taxi cab norm. Euclidean distance is called as two norm. It is looking at the square, therefore it is called as two norm. And the maximum norm is simply the difference between the 2 points, and then you choose the maximum of the available distance, and then you have Mahalanobis distance, inner product space, Hamming distance, etc. Now all these are some additions. Okay. Now when you look at clustering, so when you look at computing of similarity between 2 points, you go in for these kind of computation. Now there are two type of algorithms. One is called as the hierarchical algorithms, other one is called as the partition clustering. So hierarchical algorithms can be top down or bottom up. So bottom up is called as agglomerative, and divisive is called as top down. Actually, K means is one kind of a top down approach only. Okay, so I can also call it as so where agglomerative algorithms, so looked at every element as a single cluster, and then it merges them into successively large clusters. And the next one is called as divisive algorithm, or it begins with the whole set. Okay, that is the complete data set is called as a single cluster, and then it tries to find similarity between every point with every other point, and then tries to find out it as a cluster. Okay. This is the next clustering. So this is top down and this is bottom up. So in called as hierarchical clustering, but K means is also one type of a hierarchical, one type of a divisive top down clustering, where it looks at a single point and then tries to do a single cluster and then tries to break it into multiple components. Now these components are the value of K. Okay. So the next variation is called as fuzzy C-means clustering. So we will see these two, and the agglomerative clustering also. So K-means algorithm. So it is a simple algorithm to cluster n objects based on attributes into K partitions, where K is much smaller than n. So you can, if you have some 1000 objects, or say 10,000 objects, or 1 lakh objects. So, and if you say K is equal to some 3, it is okay, or K is equal to 6, it is okay. But you cannot say K is equal to 1 lakh and then say, okay, you have 1 lakh, you put into some 1 lakh groups, or you cannot even say 10,000 groups. So where each one will have only some 10 points. That's also not possible. So you have to basically group them into some sensible clusters. Now, how do I choose K? Okay, that is the million-dollar question. So choice of K is very difficult, and choice of K is very important also. So typically speaking, what happens is K can be K is chosen based upon some expertise in the particular domain, etc. So to give an example, supposing say you are going to group emotions. Okay, so from the text or from speech or from music or whatnot. Okay, so if you want to group emotions, there are, according to literature, there are 6 basic emotions. Okay, and some talks about some 8 basic emotions. Okay, now other are basically variations of those emotions. For example, angry, happy, sad, neutral, fear, and disgust. Okay, now this happy is one emotion, but the variations of happy like joy, ecstasy, all those are variations which is going to be not part of the basic emotion. So you can identify 6 basic emotions, and here in 8 basic emotions there is fear, sad, I think depressed is one more emotion in 8 basic emotion model, etc. So 2 models are there. So one is called the 6 flower model, other one is called as the Plutchik's wheel. Okay, it is something like this. So this is 8, this is 6. So then subsequently you will join these two. So there are 3 layers in that Plutchik's wheel. Okay, which will amount to some 24 emotions totally. Okay, so 8, then 8, and then 8. So 3 layers of 8 emotions, which will come to around 24 emotions. So supposing you want to classify it into 24 emotions or 8 emotions or 16 emotions, your value of K can be 16 or 8 or 24 depending upon how many you want to classify. Alternately, you can even say it is 16 plus 1 17 or 8 plus 1 9 or 24 plus 1 25. Now what is this 1 actually? 1 is it is not fitting into any of these 16 emotion categories, so you will call it as 1. Okay. So you put that into a corresponding box like that. Okay. Now that is the representation. So you can decide on K if you know the data points. Supposing I want to classify it into say sentiment analysis. You want positive or negative sentiments only. Okay. So you can have K equal to 3, which is a very simple logic. Positive 1, negative 1, neutral. It is not positive, not negative. So you can put it into neutral. So 3K equal to 3 is a sensible alternate. Supposing I want to identify positive, negative and sarcastic. Okay, I can have K equal to 4 maximum. Okay, so depending upon what is your domain, you can try to choose a value of K. Now that is based upon expertise. Otherwise, K choice is a problem as far as K means algorithm is concerned. Okay, so so this is an algorithm for partitioning or grouping n data points into K disjoint sets Sj containing data points was minimize the sum of squares criterion. So sum of squares criterion should be minimized, and xn minus mu j, where mu j is the geometric centroid. So we'll come back to this particular point in a minute. So so you can call K-means algorithm as a methodology to classify that groups object based upon attributes or features into K number of groups. K is a positive integer number. The grouping is typically done by minimizing the sum of the squares of distances between data and the corresponding cluster centroid. So you have one data point here, for example, say you're talking about a 2-dimensional space. You have one data point here, you have one data point here, you have one data point here, etc. So you can form one cluster here, you can form one more cluster here, or you can form one cluster here and you can form one cluster here. Okay, that is another possibility. So you have to randomly choose one centroid. So what is the model here again? The model is nothing but the centroid. Centroid computation is your model. So you choose a random centroid to start with, and then okay, I'll get to the algorithm in a minute. So this is what it basically does. It basically does a grouping of data points into a single group. Okay, so there are other clustering algorithms also, where it's called affinity propagation clustering, some Hamming distance, Haversine distance. So many distance metrics are also there. So this is the K-means algorithm. So first of all, you have to know how many clusters you basically want. So number of clusters K you want to find out, that is already determined, and then you assume a random centroid to start with. Okay, you assume a random centroid to start with, and then you find out the distance of every object to the centroid. Now there will be K clusters, means you have to choose K centroids. Okay, If you want k clusters, you want k centroids to start with. And with the centroids, you find out the distance between the centroid and all the data points. Out of all the centroids and the distances, whichever distance is the least, you can call that element belongs to that particular group. Okay. So you do one iteration and then you decide on which is going to be available at part of which. Then you have, now you have group in the first iteration, you have grouped them into some k clusters. Okay, based upon the distance metric. Now you have data points here. This is, say for example, 1, 2, 3. This is 5, 8, 9. This is 10, 11, 12, 4, 7, 6, etc. Okay. Now for these 4 points, so these 4 points are closer than these 4 points. Okay. So you recompute the centroid. So grouping based upon minimum distance, that's what we have done here. Then do you have object to move or group? The sense that is the previous iteration and this current iteration, are they different with respect to the clusters? If they are different, you recompute. If it is not different, you stop. Okay, you come to a stop here. So if it is different, you recompute. When you are recomputing, what you should do is you should try to find out the centroid of the new data points, have that as a centroid head, and then recompute again for all the data points. Okay, most likely these 3 will be in the same group only. You might get one group here from this or whatever, or something might go from here to here. Okay, but essentially what happens is when you are trying to group whatever was already, okay, I cannot say whatever is already existing will continue to stay there, then there is no movement at all. But some data points might move here or there depending upon how close it is with the other one. Okay. So that is the next iteration, and then you keep on iterating till there are the two consecutive iterations remains the same, have the same number of clusters. Now the problem again here is the initial centroid or the seed centroid. That is going to be a problem. Okay. Again, your cluster depends upon, and the number of iterations depends upon what is going to be your seed centroid. Okay. So that is what we are trying to do here. So begin with the decision on the value of k, which is equal to the number of clusters. So you have to find out that. So put an initial partition that classifies the data into k clusters. So you can assign training samples and randomly or systematically as the following. Take the first k training samples, assign each of the remaining training sample to the cluster with the nearest centroid. After each assignment, recompute the centroid of the gaining clusters. So take each sample in sequence and compute its distance from the centroid of each of the clusters. The sample is not currently in the cluster. The closest centroid, switch this sample to that cluster and update the centroid. So this is the updation step. And then you repeat this step until convergence is achieved. Okay. Now all of you take your calculators. I'll give you a minute. Have you taken the calculators? Have you taken?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so supposing you have, this is your data set. Now again, 7 samples is nothing for clustering. Okay, so I decided to go with some 2 clusters, for example, say, and I have, this is my data points, 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, and 4.5. This is okay. So if you try to plot this 1 and 1, this is 1, 1.5 and 2, this is 2, 3 and 4, this is 3, 5 and 7, this is 4, 3.5 and 5, this is 5, 4.5 and 5. This is 6, 3.5 and 4.5. This is 7. So obviously you know that these 2 are closer, right? And these 4 are closer, and this is different. So depending upon what is K, if K is 3, you can see that these 2 will be together, these 4 will be together, this 4th point will be alone separately available. But if it is 2 clusters, how do I find out? So what is the first step? So the first step is to randomly choose a centroid. So the reason behind this plot is I should be in a position to find out which one to choose as a centroid. Okay. So since these 2 are closer, I would choose one of these 2 as centroids, and I will choose one of these as centroids. So I'll choose 5 as centroid. Okay. So this is, I'll choose centroid 1, and this is centroid 2. Okay. So what I should do is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I have these data points. One comma 1, 1.5 comma 2, comma 4, 5 comma 7, 3.5 comma 5, 4.5 comma 5, 0.5 comma 4.5. Can somebody okay? So this is hey, somebody please stop. This is difference. This is one centroid, and this is going to be my next centroid. So 1.5 comma 2, and this is 3.5 comma 5. So I have to find out the distance between 1.5 comma 2 with all the data points. So square root of 1.5 comma minus 1 the whole squared plus 2 minus 1 the whole squared. So this is square root of 1.5 minus 1 is 0.5. 0.5 squared is 0.25 plus 2 minus 1, 1 squared is 1. So square root of 1.25. That is this value. And this is 0. This will be square root of 3 minus 1.5. 1.5 squared plus 2 squared, which is 4. So this is 1.5, 2.25 plus 4, root of 6.25. So you find the distance between this point with all other points. Quickly find out.
That is 1 comma 1, no ma'am. You should find the distance.
Which one?
The difference between 1 comma 1 and the other points, no ma'am. It's not 1
No,
comma 2.
no. This is 1.5 comma 2 is my first cluster, no? Oh, lala, 1 na. Okay. I changed it. I said second one is my cluster, right? Okay, cluster head is this one. C1 is my 1.5 comma 2 is my first cluster head.
Okay.
Okay. So my cluster heads are 1.5 comma 2 and 3.5 comma 5. So 1.5 comma 2 with all data points you have to find out here, and for all data points you have to find out here. Quick, find out. This is your Euclidean distance formula. X2 minus x1 the whole square plus y2 minus y1 the whole square, which is the distance between 2 points x1 y1 and x2 y2. So 5 minus 1.5, 3.5 squared plus 5 squared, which is 12.25 plus 25, 37.25. So this will be 2 squared, 4 plus 9. Then next one is 4.5 minus 1.5, 3. 3 squared is 9 plus 9, 18. And the last one will be 3.5 minus 1.5 is 2, 4. 4 plus 6.25, 10.25. Now what are these values? You find out and tell me. Next step I will tell you. Yeah. Can you get me the values?
Yes ma'am. Square root of 1.25 is 1.118.
1, 1. 1, 2. Okay.
118. Yeah, yes ma'am. 1, 2.
6.25.
2.5.
2.5.
2.5. Okay. Then
6.1.
6.1. Okay.
3.6, ma'am.
3.62.
6.
Okay. Then
4.242.
okay. Then
3.20.
okay. This is 2.5. This is 3.62. What about these two? This is 1.12 and 22.25 square root.
4.71.
Huh?
4.71.
Okay. Right, so this is the distance between you have to compute. Now you observe these two values. Whichever is smaller, that element belongs to that group. So this is group 1 and this is group 2. So this is smaller of the two. This is smaller of the two. 2.5, 1.12, this is smaller. 6.1 and 2.5, this is smaller. This is smaller. This is smaller and this is smaller. So these three belongs to this group and these four belongs to this group. Okay. So these three data points belong to this group and these four data points belong to this group. Now what you should do after that is, with these three data points, you have to compute data point 1, data point 2, data point 3 belongs here. Here M4, M5, M6 and M7 belongs. You have to compute the new centroid. Okay, that is the next step. As you could see from the flow chart. So centroid was chosen. You have found out the distance. You group based upon the minimum distance, and you have to find out whether there is an object to move or group. This is the first iteration, so you cannot say. So you have to definitely go for 2 iterations. Okay, so you compute the new centroid and for these two groups separately. For the first one, centroid will be group 1. Centroid was M1, M2, M3. So 1 plus 1, 2, 2 plus 3, 5. 5 by 3. And the second one is, Y component is, 1.53. So 5.5 by 3. The second one is 1 plus 2, 3, 3 plus 4, 7. 7 by 3. And group 2 will be adding these 4 and computing their mean. So 5, 3.5, 8.5, 16.5 totally. 5, 7, 12, 16.5 by 4. And second component will be 7 plus 5, 12 plus 5, 17 plus 4.5 is 21.5 by 4. So this 5.5 by 3 is what? 1.83. 7 by 3 is 2.3. This is going to be 4.125 and this is 5.375. So now you have again 7 elements. This is your new centroid. Okay. Now with this as centroid, you need to find the distance between this centroid with all the data points and tabulate it here. And with this as centroid, you have to find the distance between this point and all the points and then tabulate it here. Do that quickly. So the first one will be square root of 1.83 minus 1, which is 0.83 squared, plus 2.3 minus 1, which is 1.3 squared. So that will be this value. So I can find repeatedly, you compute distance between 1.83 and 2.3 with all the points and then tabulate it right here. Distance between 4.125 and 5.375 and with all the points, you tabulate it here. Quickly do it.
Ma'am, like in the previous slide, I have a doubt that, yeah, here the third part, the difference of group 3, like the second group is smaller than the first group.
Which one?
Ma'am, 1.12 is smaller than
Ah, ah, ah.
2.5.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So you didn't tell me that. So your centroid will change now. Haha. Oh no. Why did you say? I was somehow, I don't know why I did that. Anyway, okay. Better late than never. Okay. So M1, M2 will be in one group. M3 to M7 will be in another group. So here, centroid will be. Oh no. All others were sleeping except you. Who is this? 0.5 by 2 is 1.25 and 1.5. Is the centroid correct now? Hey, somebody stop asking for control, yeah? And the next one will be 3 plus 5, 8 plus 7, 15, 19.5 by 5. And 25.5 by 5. So this is actually 3.9 and this is 5.1. So you have to compute the distance between (1.25, 1.5 with all the points and 3.9, 5.9 with all the points and tabulate it here. Yeah, thank you at least. Thanks for saying now. The remaining are right. Okay, quick. Yeah, done. Okay, first point.
0.56.
Huh?
0.56.
0.56.
Okay, second one.
Same.
Same, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, third one.
3.05.
Huh?
3.05.
Okay, fourth one.
6.66.
Okay, next.
Four point 1.16.
7.16 then.
4.16, ma'am.
Which one? This one, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Or the next one?
The previous one, ma'am.
4.16. Okay, then. If somebody start doing for group 2, yeah, why should only one person answer?
4.77.
4.77. Next one. Huh?
3.75.
3.75. Okay. Then for this group,
First is 5.65.
okay. Second one,
3.92.
okay. Third one,
1.42.
1.42.
42.
Okay. Then
2.19.
okay.
2.191.
Uh,
0.41.
point.
41.
Okay.
Point 60. 61.
Okay.
0.61.
61. Okay.
0.72, ma'am.
0.72. Okay, fine. So we got these 5 again smaller against these 5, and we got these 2 smaller against these 2. So this remains. The clusters doesn't change. M1, M2, here it is M3, M4, M5, M6 and M7. So the points do not change. So you come to a closure. Supposing this value was smaller, then you reassign and then try to get into a different. So I'll just show you that here. So this example, the same data points, but the example has chosen M1 and M2. The cluster heads as data point 1 and data point 4. So we took data point 2 and data point 5. Okay, so if you choose a different seed cluster, then your seed centroid, then your clusters will change, may change rather. Okay, so here it has computed these 2 points, and finally it has got 0, 1.12, 3.61, etc. And this was also done like this. Then finally these 3 were merged together to get a new centroid. These 4 were merged together to get a new centroid, and that centroid was used as a basis for grouping it the second time. So when you started grouping the second time, this was 1 and 2 was there, and this is actually 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 was grouped. And the third iteration, so second iteration was this. So for the third iteration, you recompute your new centroids, and then you try to go it in this fashion. And finally, you get a centroid 1 like this and centroid 2 like this. Okay. So this is with the third iteration. So between the second and the third iteration, the values, the clusters do not change. So I come to a conclusion. I come to a closure. So here in this example, since it is as I plotted the data points, these 2 are very close. So, and this is definitely much farther. And this third point is more closer towards this point than with this point. Okay. So though it appears as though in the first iteration it is probably closer here, it would deviate more towards this grouping only. So that point 3 is more similar with this compared to this cluster. So we have put it into 2 clusters. Now between 2 successive iterations, if the clusters do not change, that is going to be your grouping, final grouping. So this is what it basically shows. Supposing you have 3 clusters, you have to choose initially 3 centroids, okay, and then start finding the distance between the 3 centroids and all data points. Tabulate it, again choose the minimum, and then group accordingly. So here 1.1, etc. So you recompute your centroid. So this is cluster 1, cluster 2, and all these are cluster 3. So out of these 3, this is the smallest, this is the smallest, and this is the smallest. These 3, this is the smallest, etc. So you put them, all these 5 into one cluster. This is one cluster, this is another cluster. So step 2 will be what? Recomputing it with this centroid, with the new centroid. So only this will change because I have only one cluster in, one element in these 2 clusters. So that will alone be 0. The remaining will be different. Now if you recompute, again, this is the smallest, this is the smallest, and here this is the smallest. So your clusters do not change. So it remains as it is. So one is a separate cluster, this one is a separate cluster, and this is a separate cluster. So you have got 3 clusters like this. So what is the advantage? So where do you use it? So should I draw it like a diagram, like a circle, or should I partition it like that? Where is it useful? We will see that in tomorrow's class. So just go over this and come. We will see the application. How do I draw the diagram, etc. in the next class. And please have calculators with you for the next 2 or 3 classes. So we will be looking at that aspect only. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.